Hi, you're very welcome. And in this first video, I'm just going to look at the sort of the real game changer feature in Power Query called Unpivot. So this is a very common scenario. So for example, I've got a list of apples, oranges and bananas. And let's say I've got different dates going across here, let's say for an entire month. But what I want to do is that I don't want the dates like that. I want to actually get them organized, sort of turned around. Because if I want to construct a pivot table from this, my data hasn't been what's called normalize. So I should have if you like a single row for every single entry. So I should end up with a row that has apples, the date, and then the amount. And then I can run a pivot table from it. So in previous versions of Excel, that would be actually, tricky enough to do. Whereas in Power Query, it is much quicker. Couple of things to note. I have formatted this as a table, insert and table. And the other thing to note as well is that if you're using with dates, this seems to work much better if you have your dates formatted in that kind of / format. There's a lot more work on it if you actually have done it with the January. And also to bear in mind that because this is a table, you won't be able to kind of format these headings as dates. So just to bear that in mind first of all. So I'll click here on the table. I go up to data. I go up to from table range. And what this is going to do is that this is going to load the data into Power Query for me. Okay. Eventually, hopefully. All right. So once I got this done, it is actually kind of loaded up, etc., etc. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do, all right, is I'm going to click here, highlight column 1 over here, and I go up to transform, and then I go to unpivot other columns. Now, when you're doing this might be something that you might need to experiment with to get exactly what you're looking for. Unpivot other columns. All right, so there I have exactly what I'm looking for. I've got my 1 row per entry. So I need to do some other data here, attribute, and I need to change it from text into date. Okay, and I'm also going to rename that as date. And then if I do on this one as well, I'm going to rename this to amount. Okay, and I'm actually just going to format that maybe as, let's say leave it as currency. All right, so give us 2 digits. Okay. Now once I got this done, the next thing I need to do is then I go back here to close and load 2. And let's say I load it as a table. Give it a second now. There it is, the apples, the whole lot. Brilliant. Now, of course, the beauty of this is that if I come back here to this one, let's say to actuals, pivot columns, and let's say I'm going to change this to carrots, as you do. All right. Or if I add another row to it or add another column to it, go back into sheet 1, which I'm going to rename to cleaned data. And if I now click on this and just go up here to refresh. See there, it's changed all that from apples to carrots. And if I add another data to it, and that is actually the beauty of it. So that is just part 1 of this tutorial, one way to unpivot your data.